Spygate could be one of the biggest political scandals in history.
This is a huge scandal, but because it goes against that narrative that the media put in place, I think there's a reticence to investigate because it will make the media look bad.
The highly anticipated meeting with Kim Jong-un now appears to be up in the air.
June 12th, that specific date is not the important part. The important part is the right terms and then coming to the table for the right reasons.
4 teenagers accused in the murder of Baltimore police officer Amy Caprio. She's the 26th officer killed this year alone.
Police are here to help us and not hurt us. We need to stand by these officers, salute them, and merely say thank you.
President Trump said to visit Long Island today. It's a hot spot, sadly, for MS-13 violence.
We have him watching our back now. He's supporting our enforcement efforts, but we can also use some funding now from D.C.
A 30-year-old man is ordered to move out of his parents' house. A judge ruling Michael Rotundo must immediately leave the home in New York State. Rotundo plans to appeal and reportedly went right back home after court.
I ain't here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. So bring on the sunshine.
Yeah, George Strait worshipped in country music circles.
From San Antonio.
Right.
Hey, welcome aboard, folks. Thank you very much for joining us. It is a Wednesday coming up on a big holiday weekend. Hope you got great plans. So far, so good. We had the guys from Fleet Week showing us that 360 view of the amphibious vehicles and those new grills. Let's get this candle.
I have a quick grilling question for you.
Yes, please.
The mats that we sell on our channel.
Yes.
Do you lose the grill effect if you grill on a mat?
No, you do not. In fact, I grilled with one last night. Did some chicken.
But the
on
juices
top.
stay on top then, right?
It's like it's a rollout copper mat, which is great, and it keeps the meat actually moister, doesn't burn as much, but it winds up with some grill marks because it's flexible.
Okay. I gotta explain.
Excellent question.
I like
Too
the
bad we
grill
didn't work
marks,
that.
and I like it when the grill marks are a little crispier than the rest of the meat. So you can bite into it.
See, what I did last night, part of my grilling secret, is I cooked on the grill mat, both sides, and then I took it off, put it directly on the grill, and got that.
Okay.
That's the best.
All
part.
right.
That's how you do it.
All right. Now that we have, now let's just toss the break. What do you think?
Okay.
No. President Trump outraged over the possibility his campaign was spied on. He's letting the FBI know it this morning as well, tweeting this.
He tweeted about an hour ago, Spygate could be one of the biggest political scandals in history.
Kevin Corke is live from the White House with details for us. Kevin?
Hey, guys, good morning. While the timing and the nature of the surveillance of the Trump campaign by the Obama administration remains under incredible scrutiny, one thing is certain, as you point out, the president is convinced this was politically orchestrated from the very beginning to hurt him and his budding administration. Let me take you back to Twitter. The president being very vocal about this fact. He feels like this is all a deep state coup. Look how things have turned around on the criminal deep state. They go after phony collusion with Russia, made up scam, and end up getting caught in a major spy scandal, the likes of which this country may never have seen before. He adds this: what goes around comes around. Now, that last quip may have been aimed at former CIA Director John Brennan, a vocal critic of the president, who allegedly promoted the infamous Steele dossier to Democrats to get the whole investigation that led to the special counsel started. And now this latest twist, as you pointed out, the suspicions, that is, that the Obama administration's intelligence community may have planted informants inside the Trump campaign. You got to be kidding me. Here's the president.
If they had spies in my campaign, that would be a disgrace to this country. It would be very illegal, aside from everything else. It would make probably every political event ever look like small potatoes. If they had spies in my campaign, during my campaign for political purposes, that would be unprecedented in the history of our country.
There are a myriad of investigations ongoing on this topic. Most notably, the DOJ IG Inspector General is looking at it. Not a second special counsel yet, but that could certainly change, guys. But for now, back to you. Don't forget the president in the Empire State today, heading over to Long Island to talk about MS-13 on a roundtable discussion. Back to you.
That's our next topic. Kevin, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin.
It's just, I mean, the president's outraged in that the intelligence community is speaking about, they were worried in 2016 about what was going on with Russia trying to infiltrate our elections. So they seem to have targeted the Trump administration. Their line of thought was, we'll get some of the people that are on our payroll, perhaps, and at least one person, and we'll have them talk to 3 people. There were 4 people that we know they were involved in the campaign and see what they get. And now when it comes out, they didn't come out and make that transparent early. Now that they're caught, they're trying to get ahead of the story all last week.
It's so weird to think about. If somebody was going to put a spy into a president's campaign, it would be the Russians, right? It would be the Russians putting somebody in, not our own FBI.
Well, James Clapper says that the president should be happy about it, that there was someone inside
keeping tabs
spying
on
and making sure the Russians weren't trying to interfere.
That's right. That's some good spin.
And the best line he had to Joy Behar is, I don't like to use the term spy. Really? You're the director of national intelligence for 8 years, and you don't use the word spy. It's like Tom Brady going, I don't like to use the word football.
But he said they were there to spy on Russian meddling. Meanwhile, we heard just a moment ago Kevin Quirk talking about how the President of the United States will be leaving from Joint Base Andrews this afternoon. He's going to fly up to JFK and then chopper out to Nassau County. Bethpage essentially getting an update on the war against MS-13, that violent gang that we've heard so much about.
They're so violent. When you read what they have done to these individuals out in your neck of the woods, out in Long Island, where the president's going to be, you went out probably a year ago with some of the police officers there to tell us about the story of those 2 families that lost their daughters. They eventually were sitting at the Hill during the President's State of the Union address, those parents. So you probably remember them. They've been on our show. But what they did to their little girls, MS-13 brutally murdered them so badly that the parents couldn't even, the police officers couldn't even recognize these girls. They had a hard time identifying them.
So you got them in Suffolk County, you got them in Nassau County. A lot of them came across during that surge during the Obama administration. They were placed in temporary homes, sponsor homes in working class areas.
As minors.
And with people they don't even know, and they went and just feasted on the working class communities. It looks like there's about 10,000 in the country, about 250 in the area the president's going to. Here's what Patrick Ryder says as he prepares to host the president's roundtable. He is the Nassau County Police Commissioner.
We need help. When we have 40% of our homicides, and we had record low homicides last year, 40% are MS-13 related, and out of that 6 that they committed, 4 of them were butchered with machetes and buried into graves, shallow graves that the families can't not only identify but can't find. We need that support from the president. We have him watching our back now. He's supporting our enforcement efforts, but we can also use some funding now from D.C.
And it's that kind of description with the butchery that led the president of the United States a couple of days ago after a sheriff from Southern California asked him a question about MS-13, where he referred to members of MS-13 as animals. Of course, a number of news outlets quoted that out of context, but nonetheless, don't be surprised if the president uses the expression animals today in comments you will see later this afternoon right here on Fox.
It's so funny, too. Ironic that somebody's going into prison, I believe, today or tomorrow from MS-13, whose nickname is Animal.
He wants to be called Animal.
Yeah.
I believe he murdered 2 people.
Right.
Wow.
And they like to cut out body parts first.
It's terrible. Anyway, you will see the president live here in the Empire State later, but right now it's time to see the news, and Jillian joins us live.
I'm not used to seeing you from this side of the studio. Good morning. How is everyone?
Good.
Right. Excellent.
Just as good on this side as that
side. The other side?
Yes.
Good to know. Thank you very much. Let's get you caught up on some of your headlines now, starting with this. A 16-year-old called a one-man crime wave with a long record is charged in the murder of a Baltimore police officer. Prosecutors say Dante Harris was in the getaway car for 3 other teens who were burglarizing a home. When Officer Amy Caprio approached the stolen Jeep, Harris hit the gas, driving over her. All 4 teens later caught. Officer Caprio, a 4-year veteran of the force who was once named Officer of the Month, leaves behind a husband. She is the first female Baltimore officer to die in the line of duty. A live look outside of Santa Fe High School, where teachers are heading back for the very first time since Friday's deadly shooting. Classes will resume next Tuesday. Meantime, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is kicking off day 2 of his roundtable discussions tackling gun regulations and mental health. And Houston Texans star J.J. Watt seen visiting victims in the hospital. He's offered to pay for the funerals of the 10 people who died. A desperate search for answers after a plane crash lands, slides off the runway, and breaks in half. And miraculously, everyone on board survived. Take a look at the incredible video showing the passengers climbing out of the wreckage in Honduras as Good Samaritans sprayed the smoldering plane with foam. The private jet had just arrived from Austin, Texas, with several Americans on board. This airport, surrounded by mountains, is known for its extremely difficult runway. Fallen, not forgotten. A message honoring our heroes spelled out with American flags. 50 volunteers planting 10,000 flags at the University of Phoenix ahead of Memorial Day. When the flags are removed, they will be donated to local veterans cemeteries. Isn't that beautiful?
That is great. And then you got the news with the Ace Hardware. They're giving away 1 million flags as well.
Yep.
Very, very patriotic.
Yes.
Tell me
Thanks,
if all right, thanks a lot, Jillian. Tell me if this ever happened to you. You have a kid and he won't leave. Not like a 5-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid.
He's not really a kid anymore.
A 30-year-old man won't leave the basement.
Absolutely, a grown man. There's a story. In fact, the headline. Here's the headline in the New York Post today: "Tough shove. Parents sue to evict their slacker 30-year-old son." What happened was
Sounds like a Will Ferrell movie.
they asked nicely for
There he is on the left.
You really need
There are
to,
the parents on the right.
You need to leave, and he just never left. He lived in the house for 8 years. He did move out of the house for I think a year and a half.
But it's scary out there.
At which time he had a child, and apparently the parents were interested in seeing the child. This guy has not had a job, although he is apparently suing Best Buy for $300,000.
Of course he is.
They wanted him to work on a Saturday. but here's
Heaven
the thing.
forbid.
The reason that video we just showed you is of them in court is because the parents had to sue the kid to get the heck out of the house.
I know, because he looked up the law and he said, I really have 6 months, I think he said, to abandon the house, and it hasn't been 6 months yet. They wrote him a note and they said, son, you got to get out, and you have 2 weeks to get out.
All right, so here's what some of the things that you're saying. 18 is the age you either move into a college dorm or military barracks.
Love that.
It's not rocket science.
Good. That's from Lon.
Nick tweeted out the judge should have thrown it out and told them to settle it like a family. The courts have better things to do than deal with this nonsense like this.
And then Mike says the parents raised him to be the way he is. Brian, you said that earlier.
Well, the thing is, too, if you do the wash and you feed them and you provide free rent, you don't even pay electric, why would you leave if you have no ambition that you could see? You know, I mean, should we get Anthony Robbins into that basement to give him short and long-term goals?
You got to feel for the parents, though. They obviously were nurturing him, but apparently, you know, he never got the message, and there are so many people who are of that age who don't ever want to leave the basement.
So, again, if you're parents out there and you don't want this to be you, if you have a 2 or 3-year-old, the kid asks for a bottle, get your own bottle.
I just feel sorry for, if he ever gets married, I feel sorry for her.
Right.
He's not going to lift